everyone, this is Artemystik Kate, and it's time for another one of my Prima marketing watercolor confections and watercolor coloring book review videos. So you'll notice to start, I am on a totally different view than I normally would start. I have this lovely grapevine and looking out my window in my new workspace, which happens to be my bedroom. If you look across the yard here, this is a building for the boarding school that's across the street. It's one of the dormitories. So in the summertime, this will be empty, which is kind of nice. And in the meantime, it's high school age boarding school kids from all around the world. So that's pretty interesting. It's mostly international students. So, and then I wanted to show my new workspace, and you can see it is my bedroom. Let's see if I can get it to focus in here. I don't think that helped. Here, let me look up at the light, and then back down in here. There we go. All right, so you can see it's my bedroom, and the coolest thing I got is this new storage cube to hold all of my crafting supplies, which don't all fit, but I love how I can just pull out a drawer and I've got things inside. Like, this is all of my stuff for dyeing, and then acrylic paints, all of my fabrics all lined up for sewing, one just for yarns and crochet and knitting needles, and they're stuffed. So anyway, I really love having this storage cube unit, and I'll get more things in it as I can. But this is my real working space, which, yes, is kind of cluttered. I'm still working on figuring out where to put everything, but this is the table I usually use to record my videos. So today I have got it set up with a stack of books, and I'm going to be setting my mic stand with a flexible tripod, I guess you could call it, and be using that to record my video because I cannot find my camera tripod with the move. So today we're going to be doing a picture from our watercolor coloring book, and it happens to be this one that says, "Start each day with a grateful heart," and I'll be talking about that in the video. So all right, here we go, folks. I'm going to go ahead and turn this off and get us set up to start painting. Okay everyone, I am now set up to paint. Next time I'm going to make sure I have my tripod so I don't have to be zoomed in quite so closely. This little mic stand is a countertop one. It's probably only about 6 inches tall, so I've got it on a stack of books, but you know, it's not ideal, so we're gonna make it work for today. So all right, we're doing the next video of our watercolor confections, and this is the Tropicals line I'm using for the entire book, just to see what sort of different colors and things I can get out of the one palette. And so far I've been really happy with that. And today's going to be interesting because we're doing this one that says, "Start each day with a grateful heart." And it's got this wood fence sort of background to it. So I'm going to be seeing how many different shades of brown that I need to make a wooden fence, what I can get out of this tropical set. Now it does come with one sort of a ruddy dark brown, almost like a, I don't know, a little bit like a burnt sienna, but maybe not quite. I don't know. It's this one here, which will be great. You can see the difference between the watercolor paper and the plain kind of card stock that it came on for the one that it came in the set. So we're going to go ahead and use those, and then also mix some other browns. I know yellow and purple make a really nice brown, so we're going to see what else we can come up with. Like this one would probably make a nice brown with the purple. So we'll mix around and play around with some colors. Now this is not going to fit inside my camera view, but I'll just show you. I pulled out this nice white plate for today, and I'm going to use that to mix my colors on. It's a ceramic plate and they're really easy to clean off, and it works great for mixing colors. So I needed a little more space to mix a few different browns, so I'm going to use that today and try to not over mix so I can just wash it off when I'm done. So I'm going to use that and just have it kind of off to the side today. So that's what's going to be going on over there. And my paint palette won't fit in the camera shot, so I'm going to just go ahead and use it over here on the side, and I'll try to explain or show you when I'm using a different color. So another thing you might notice, I'm doing this in real time today. I just thought it was a simple enough painting, and I wanted to be able to talk a little bit more naturally about some of the things that have been going on with me, and about the painting. So alright, the first thing I want to do, I'm going to work on this fence first. So talking about the paint, I'm going to go ahead and just start by mixing up some browns, and while I'm mixing them, I'm going to talk about some of the things that have been going on. So and then of course the colors as I mix them. So I'm going to start, I'll just hold this over here so you can see. I'm going to get some of the brown because I'm going to use it to mix some different shades. You can see, hopefully you can see here, maybe if I hold over here, it's got kind of a reddish color to it. So I'm going to deepen that red in this brown that I'm mixing. Here, I'll move the plate over for the time being. So I'm going to get some of this, and I'm going to use this to make some different accents within the wood. I'm just going to try to get most of that paint off. I'm kind of a messy paint mixer. And I'm going to rinse that brush out. And I'm going to pick up, I think with this one, I want it to be a brighter kind of reddish brown, so I'm going to go ahead and use this red out of the paint palette, the Prima marketing. And boy, I just love these paints. I know that they're maybe not on the same level as some other paints, but I love the saturation and the brightness, and yeah, I'm just very happy with that. And I did totally mix too much of this color, but I'm gonna get a little scrap. I've got a scrap of, well, I've used that one. I need a little scrap of paper, watercolor paper, so we can just test our color out. And you can see that's a real reddish color. I hope you can see the brown tone to it on the camera there. I like that, and I'm going to use that to put some accents in. Okay, so that's one shade of brown. Let's mix one now with the yellow and the purple. Oh yeah, we were going to use this more of an ochre. Oh, whoops, except I just got green into it. I don't know if you can see that. Let me grab a paper towel. And I'm going to clean that palette, that paint pan out before I do. Whoa! My paper towels just went flying. Okay. Let's try this again without getting into the green this time. So I'm going to try to not mix quite so much this time. This is going to be, I hope, the darker brown sort of accent. So the cool thing with this is I'm just going to try to streak colors through. See, it's hard for me to like get all the paint off the brush, so I end up just doing like these little dabbies. Dab, dab, dab everywhere. And no, when Ivy watches this, I'm not talking about actually doing the dab dance. Just dabbing paint. So I don't want too much purple, and that's probably too much. Let's try mixing this together and see. Oh, see, I needed more purple than that. But that is kind of an interesting brown. Let's take a look at it on our paper. Look at that. It's kind of really like cocoa colored or milk chocolatey. So let's save some of that, and we're going to make a new spot. And we'll use this to add in more purple to enrichen that up, deepen it, darken it. And I'm just now noticing I got a splotch of water on my painting. Just dab that off with paper towel because I didn't let it dry. So that'll be fine. Okay, so I'm going to rinse my brush before I dip into my purple and get a little bit more purple out of the pan. That's probably too much, but let's just try it and see. Yeah, see, now we've got a purple here. So next the trick is going to be to rinse out the brush again. There's a lot of rinsing going on here. And get some more ochre. And I'm going to really get some on my brush. If you see, I turn it and really get a lot of paint on my brush. Probably too much. And then I'm going to do the same sort of technique. You can see already that's a lot darker. It's a lot darker. This would be like a rich, really rich extra chocolate brownie maybe kind of color. But then once you put it on the paper, you know what? It really doesn't look much different, does it, from the other one? A bit darker. So I'm happy with that. Right now we've got 4 different shades of brown, and we can change all of those by just adding more water so I can lighten them up. And I think with that I'm going to be pretty happy. So what I'm going to do for our background, and this is where it's going to get quicker and simple, what I'm going to do is get my 1-inch wash brush and some fresh clean water. That's why I have a couple different containers of water. And I'm just going to get all of the wood parts, not the inside edges, because I'm going to make sure I do that a little bit differently, but just all of this. I'm going to get a color or a water wash over, and I'm going to use the wet in wet technique. Well, now I must have had blue on that brush. I don't know if you can tell that, just very faintly a hint of blue, which isn't going to hurt anything. It'll just make it more brown. And yes, I'm totally going to get paint all over my table today because I could not find a suitable piece of cardboard to put my painting onto. Now this is getting really close. I think I'm going to have a lot of that problem of the camera not sure how to focus on all of this. And my paper is going to buckle too. I didn't want to cover over these wooden parts, so I'm going to try to go around this. You see that on the T it kind of curves out. I might end up getting brown on that, but I think I'll do a dark color on those words on the lettering so it's not going to show up so much. Okay, so all I'm going to do now is get the paper nice and wet, and then I'm going to start just adding in different shades of brown and streaking in these colors that we pre-mixed. And I just want to make sure I get all of this wet. So as far as stuff with me, I have been really busy with moving, and we're finally just starting to get to that point where you can kind of breathe and be like, oh, I can relax a little bit now. I can feel like I have a home again. It's not all upside down, and we're all getting settled. And it's a good feeling to know that we've got a place, we're in a place, and it's a nice place too. We're in a fourplex, and all the neighbors are really nice, and we're in a great little town called Canyonville. Love the little town. It's so charming. It's like a pioneer town. In fact, we live right not too far from a park called Pioneer Park, which is great. We're on the Applegate Trail around here, so. Okay, so, whoa, sorry, just dropping my paint palette here. I'm gonna go ahead and start. I'm gonna use my, I think this is my number 10. Yeah, my number 10 round. I like using that for almost everything. Except, you know what? For the initial brown, I'm going to go ahead and use my wash brush again. So I'm just going to get some paint and I'm going to start streaking it on. You know what? I want to do it with the grain of the wood. And that'll give it a more natural look. And I'm going to just kind of work with it here like this. With the grain of the wood. And then I'll be adding the other colors into it. So I've got to work quickly here so that I have time to add in the other colors and let them move with the paint that I'm adding on here. So, as far as my health goes, one thing you might notice, I am not wearing the braces. I have been doing physical therapy now for a while, and that has made a huge difference. And they're suggesting don't wear those braces anymore, Kate. Just try to do your best and keep working on the exercises. And I'm doing things like ice massages and just trying to really get the swelling down that I have. I've got all kinds of inflammation, and they're realizing that's with my doctor. That's more of the problem than necessarily the carpal tunnel, even though I do have carpal tunnel still. The real problem is that I've got inflammation in my tendons, tendinitis, but it's something in both wrists. It's not from an injury, it is from my health problems, my autoimmune issues. And those we're kind of working on getting closer and closer to trying to understand a little bit better. I'm on a waiting list to get into a really great medical center up in Portland. And I'm not sure how long that's going to take, but I'll be seeing the rheumatologist up there. And they're talking about rheumatoid arthritis and lupus and just different autoimmune diseases that I may have, and it's just not showing up on specific tests, like the well, I have a positive ANA, which if you know anything about autoimmune disease, you know that that is usually found in people with lupus or RA or various other, like Sjogren's, other autoimmune diseases. So yeah, that's kind of showing up in my blood work, but the specific antibodies are not. So they're saying I'm something called seronegative, which means you're serum negative. And so just, let's see, day before yesterday, I saw my doctor again and went over some of the tests that I've had recently done. And she's decided to start me on a new medication, new for me, that is hopefully going to really make a difference. And it's a medication they use to treat RA and lupus. And so even though my specific antibodies are not showing up, this is something that to me is really, really hopeful. So, yeah, I'm just working on starting that new medication, and in my hopes and dreams, it's going to be something that will really make a big difference, and within a couple months, few months, maybe I'll be feeling more like I'm in remission. And that's the goal. That's the whole goal through all of this, is getting into remission with whatever it is that I have going on, and to try to get back to kind of being able to function better and have less pain and less sickness, and get back to enjoying my life. So one way I'm doing that is with painting. So you'll notice I kind of tried to lift this up so you can see, but then again we're having the camera having a hard time focusing problem. Just adding in some of these other colors, but my paint is drying now, and so it's not spreading as well anymore. But you can see we've got kind of rough wood texture going on there, and I feel good about that. I'm happy with that. Alright, so I'm going to rinse my brush off. Now, I like the reddish streaks in there. I like the color that that's giving me. So what I'm going to do, you can see I still have quite a bit of that. I did a good job on the other ones. I'm going to use that for the inside wood color. And so what I'm going to do is make it much lighter, and I'm just adding a bunch of water. I might just use the whole thing actually, and make it just a really nice light wash. I think I'll put just a hint more of the brown in. Not too much, just enough to kind of richen that water wash up a little bit. Let's take a look on our piece of paper before we paint on. See that? It's just like a nice light sort of brown. I might add just a touch more, so it's not all just water looking there. See that? I'm happy with that. Once I spread it out, that's going to be great. So I'm going to use that now. This is already dry enough that it's not going to seep in. I'm going to use this to just fill in these areas here. And I'm trying not to worry about being too precise today. That's something I'm always working on. So, there we go. This one I want to darken it just a touch because of the angle that it's in. Okay. So there's that. Now all we have left is our lettering and the background behind it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and stop the video for the moment, and I'm going to blow dry this so we can work on this heart in the center. I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back. We have got a dry painting now, and you might notice I've added a couple little pieces of masking tape to help hold it down. When I started blow drying, it just totally started curling up on the edges, so I went ahead and flattened that down now that we've got the wood painted, and I'm pretty happy. It's given me kind of that distressed wood look that I was hoping to get with the painting technique that I used. Sorry for the creaky chair. Okay, so one thing I do want to do before I start on the back, well, here's what I'll do. Rewind. I'd like it to have kind of a nice blue background, and I'm going to put a color over my lettering that will work okay with blue as one of the layers. So what I'm going to do is just paint this entire inside part of the heart with a blue, so it looks like you're looking through a hole in the fence and into a nice blue sky in the background. I'm going to go ahead and just use my round brush on this. I feel like I get better control with that than with the 1" in a space like this with curves. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that there. Alright, so while I work on that, I will say this, that moving has been incredibly stressful for me. And so being able to get back to doing a painting is just a gift. And thinking about the saying that's on it, start each day with a grateful heart. It's something that sometimes can feel pretty impossible when you wake up and you feel that dread of all of the struggles and the things that you're fighting through and working with, and hurting and feeling sick and being depressed and feeling anxious and worried and feeling like your life is just kind of falling apart. To start the day feeling grateful can feel impossible, but it is possible to find the things you are grateful for, and that opens up your heart to feeling even more grateful for other things. And that's the beauty of it. When you start each day with a grateful heart, it opens you up to being able to look past all of these difficult things, to finding peace in some ways, because you can feel grateful for something. So even if you're in a really bad place and you can't think of anything you're grateful for, well, think about something you enjoy doing. Think about someone that you love. Think about, even if for you, like, all you have is like a good book that you're reading, or a craft that you're into, or a beautiful day outside, whether that's sun or rain, whatever you like, think in yourself, feel that in your heart, that positive energy of, I am so thankful to have this today. Even if you have the whole list of everything else that's like, I don't know how I'm going to get through today. If you can just start it with, after you wake up, it's a really good practice. You wake up and you think of all the things that you are grateful for. And it can make everything else kind of go back and get pushed on hold. And that's the great part of it. You can go from, if you intentionally do this, if you wake up and you feel like you're not sure how to get through the day, that it's all too challenging, just think about something you're grateful for and keep on thinking of things you're grateful for until you've given yourself that time where it's just you and your time to be grateful. And it's a beautiful gift you can give yourself. And the list gets longer the more you do it. And you realize, I realize, that with time, you can diminish all of the negative by increasing the positive. And sometimes that feels impossible. And you're like, no, there's just too many hard things. But if you can just take a moment to think, now wait a second, it's not all the hard stuff. There's more to it than that. I'm just letting this dry while I talk. I'll fan it here a little bit. I could blow dry it, I suppose. But this message is something that's really important, and I wanted to talk about that. Not just talk about the painting and the moving or my health. It's such an important thing for us to do, to find things we're grateful for, and to not focus on only the things that are difficult. And like I said, for me, sometimes that can feel impossible, between having all of my health problems, my physical health problems, and my mental health problems, having PTSD, where I get triggered so easily by things, having bipolar, where my mood seems so changeable and out of my control that it feels crippling. The depression and the anxiety that result from those, and my physical problems, and the reality of life and the issues that I can have in my life. So hard to feel grateful sometimes, and when I get stuck in that mode of not being able to function through all of that, I lose a lot of hope. But then if I can just start small and start by waking up in the morning and saying, I am so thankful for my beautiful daughter. I am so thankful that I can do some sort of art. I am so thankful for the birds outside. I'm so thankful for the sun or the rain, the clouds in the sky, the mountains beyond. I am so thankful for nature in all of its glory. These are the things that we need to give ourselves through all of the hardships. These are the things that mean the most and really make a difference. I'm going to go ahead and pause this again and blow dry this so we can continue on. Okay, we are back. I'm going to go ahead and work on filling in this lettering, which some of it is really quite small. I think I'm going to change my brush from my number 10 to, let's see, my 5 or my 6. What have I got here? This is my number 6. I'm going to go ahead and use this smaller one. So I think I really love having red lettering on things because then it's really bold and it just kind of jumps out at you. Now I used this, let me try to move this where you can see it. I used this red for making my brown, so it makes sense to use that one. I also like this. It's more of a fuchsia, kind of a pinkish purpley red. So it's hard to decide, but I think because I used this in the brown, it makes more sense to use this one to be consistent, and so the colors will kind of draw each other out. And since I mixed it with brown, it's not going to look exactly the same anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and just put my paints over here where I can get to them easily. Let's see, I should be able to do that. Okay. So now I'm just going to I'd like to get my, you know what, I'm going to bring this to this. I'm going to get this pan nice and wet and activated. That's probably more than enough. Yeah, I overdid it there, but I'm going to use it. Oh, sorry, I don't know. Yeah, you can see it. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and use that and get started. I'm going to start at the top with start and work my way down to the bottom. Alright, so sometimes I get concentrated on these smaller parts, and so I don't do as well on the talking, but I'm going to do my best. I way overmixed the red, realizing how little I'm actually using here. I think I've gotten a little bit better on doing the text of things too. I'm just going through the whole word, and then I'll come back and do these tops of the T's here. Go around this way. Plus I'm also getting to where I'm not quite so concerned if I get out of the lines. So there's start. We got a good start here. So I do have quite a bit of water in this mix. This red can be even richer, but I'm happy with this. I like the shade that we're getting out, and in some of them, like here, I might get a little bit darker red because I dipped down deeper into the palette. That's the trick. The more water you add, the lighter your color. The less water you have, the deeper the color. So for instance, I'll show you. on this. So this red is full of water right now. You can see it's very wet, like a big puddle in it. If I just dip out of that red, I'll get, here, I'll even show you. I've got, well, I had some on my brush already. Let me restart this to really show you an accurate thing. So I'm just gonna dip straight into the puddle right on the top and spread that on. I'll rinse out my brush. Now this time I'm going to go right on the edge, maybe a bit in the puddle, but see how I'm kind of going into this slightly thicker, harder paint, and then I'm going to spread that on. You can see the real difference here between more water, less water, and using more of the paint. You continue to use more of the paint and it gets lighter and lighter as you run out of paint on your brush. So that's the thing with watercolor. You have complete control over how much paint and how much water you put on the brush and all of the different shades you can get out of one color. And then just adding the slightest bit of any other color will make a completely different shade and tone. So it's pretty fun just to mix colors. Like if you have not painted much before, oh, I better finish this, I'm gonna have a hard line. If you have not painted very much before, just getting in a watercolor palette and mixing colors can be so much fun and so satisfying too. And then you go from there to doing color washes, where you just get your paper wet and you drop in your different colors that you mixed and see how they mix together in the wet paint or the wet page with all the water on it, and just see what you get. It is so fun, and you can turn that into things. So like one thing I really like to do is I'll make color washes on what piece of watercolor paper, and then I can cut it out into different shapes and designs to do some kind of paper art or to make cards. Like one time I mixed all kinds of colors and did swirling designs and all kinds of things on it, and then I cut it out into heart shapes, and then I glued that onto a card and then painted around the edges of it, and it made a great little Valentine's Day card. And I love doing things like that. Another time I cut out a bunch of hearts of different colors that I had mixed and painted out, and then I cut out into all these little tiny hearts and I glued those onto the page in the shape of a bouquet. This was a card for my mom and dad for their wedding anniversary, and then I had a bouquet of adorable little watercolor colored painted hearts, and it was just so cute and sweet looking. So if you are not comfortable with painting, that's definitely something you could do, and maybe I'll make a video on that too, because I would love to get more people doing watercolor. It is so relaxing, and even if you think you're not an artist, because when I started I thought I was a terrible artist, and hey, you know what, I am not a fantastic artist. I am not Monet, okay? I am not Van Gogh. I'm not any of these people, but I'm me, and I enjoy doing it, and so I've gotten better as I go, and I've expanded what I'm capable of doing. I'm more comfortable with things than I used to be, so it's just one of those things. Even if practice doesn't make perfect, practice makes fun, and I think that's the most important part. So if there's any way you can get a watercolor pan set, even if it's one of the cheap ones, I mean, they have some at Michael's that are fairly decent for a starter set of paint. They're a little chalky when they dry, and that's why I wouldn't like use them for wall art necessarily. But if you just want to learn how to kind of use watercolors, they're kind of fun. And I think the brand is like Artist Loft or something like that. And I think I picked mine up for like $5 or $6 a pan. And I got those for Ivy, for my daughter Ivy. And she loves using them. And one of them is a pearl paint, which I had it out. I guess I don't have it now. I was using it the other day on a painting. And I do use those on paintings that I'll hang up on the wall when I want just a little bit of shimmer on certain things. I'll pull that out and use it to create a shimmer. And it works great. I love the shimmer pan set because it's full of all different colors. In fact, I should show you guys now that I'm talking about it. Well, let me finish this F, and then I am just gonna stand up and I am gonna get it. Because it's close by. And I think, now that I mentioned it, I should show it. Alright, so here is the little set that I got. Yeah, the label is off of it. So it comes in this little pan set here, and you can see, look at all these different shades, different colors of pearl paint. So it makes a shimmery shine on anything. So they're really, they're not like a solid paint when you paint with them. They're really transparent with just like the glitter and the slight, or the shimmer in the slight tone. So what I like to use them for is to go on top of things. In fact, here, let me grab, I was working on this little painting. I love painting coloring book pages. That's why I got this one. This one wasn't made for watercolor, but so it's really thin paper and it kind of buckles, but I still have fun painting them. And I'm gonna try to get this in an angle there. I think you can see it there. I put a few streaks in her hair, and then all of this here is actually the shimmer paints just by themselves. I don't know if that's showing up very well. I'll have to look when this is over. But yeah, I did this one with some of the shimmer paints in it, and I love the way that looks. So those are fun. You can get all kinds of stuff these days to do things differently, and if you want to try watercolor but you don't want to jump in with the cost of it, you can just start with watercolor pan sets from Michaels like that. I would not suggest really trying to decide if you love them or not from cheap pan sets, because they don't work quite as well. They don't flow very well. They don't mix as well on the paper. And so you don't get the same sort of effects, and that can be kind of disappointing. So like this Watercolor Confections set, I would consider the best, absolute best next step to get a feel for what the higher quality watercolor paints are really all about. So this set that I'm using right now, I saw one on Amazon for like $18 and change, which is a really great deal. I really like that. So they have different colors of pan sets that have different shades and colors within them, many different ones, and some of those other pan sets can range up to like $25 or so, which is still really quite affordable to decide whether it's something you're interested in doing or not. And then watercolor paper can go anywhere from being super affordable to extremely like, wow, you're really going to pay that for paper. But there's differences between them and reasons why they can cost so much and be different prices. So I definitely suggest to anyone that you just try it, whether you think you're an artist or not. See what you can come up with. get one of these watercolor coloring books to kind of just get you motivated and doing things, and just fill it in like you're coloring. And that's all. That's all you need to do. And you'll have a lot of fun, I think. It's relaxing, it's beautiful, you can create art. I'll do one of those videos about creating things with watercolor paper or color washes too. So maybe that's the next video I'll do. I'm so glad you guys hung in there with me if you watched the whole thing. I know it's another longer video, but I thought it'd be much more fun to do real time with my words as I'm thinking of them. And here we are with start each day with a grateful heart. I'll go ahead and take a picture of it for the end here, but thanks everyone for listening, and I really, really, really hope that you'll all give it a shot yourself. So, and see what you come up with your own creativity. And if you do, then hey, make a comment. Let me know how things turn out for you, and you could even send me a message, and I'd love to see pictures and things of things that people come up with for themselves. So I'm wishing all of you a really great day, whatever day it is you're watching this, and for many blessings to come your way. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, click like for me, please. Subscribe and click the bell for notifications so you'll know when my next videos come out. You all take care, and I'll see you next time.